Hello, and a very warm
Hello.
welcome to the Happiness Chat. Happiness in work. Does that sound too idealistic or unreal? Have you met some people who just love their work? What makes them so happy going to work? How are they so different from the rest of us who go for work grudgingly just because we have to? Much like the famous saying that beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, positive psychology propagates the way we see life is the way life becomes. Psychologists have found that happiness is not the feeling that comes from getting or doing what we want. Instead, it is the ability to access a range of positive emotions like optimism, gratitude, and consciously choosing to implement them in our daily life. Being happy at work doesn't mean the complete absence of negative stresses. That would be a utopia. It's just the power through which we can widen our perspective and bounce back from negativities. Workplace happiness is not the byproduct of external factors like incentive. Rather, it comes from the way we choose to manage our thoughts, our actions, and reactions on a daily basis. It means choosing to avoid negative contemplations, gossips, unnecessary judgments, and instead to focus on our action and not let the negative external vibe take a toll on our emotions. Making happiness a part of the work culture formally was started way back in 1999. Google and McDonald's were amongst the very first to appoint Chief Happiness Officers, CHO. Their work was to spread positivity and work on maintaining the motivation of the workforce. After the massive success of Google and their motivational CHO, recruiting happiness officers became a culture for many companies simply because happy employees are an excellent investment for successful companies. Some very interesting analysis for you. Happy people are 31% more productive. Happiness improves business profitability by a whooping 147%. 75% of the individuals leave their jobs because they are unhappy with their boss rather than with their job. Lost productivity amongst workers costs around 1 trillion US dollars globally for the world economy. A shocking revelation, I must say. If you love what you do, never work a day in your life. From Confucius to Steve Jobs, this line has been repeated so often and it remains true till today. Our guest speaker today is the very well-known Dr. Pankaj Shrivastav, a fertility expert doctor who actually needs no introduction. Even a person who just reads the newspaper in UAE knows about the great work that he does. A very warm welcome to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa. It's a pleasure to be here and seeing so many people, so many friends in this group. That's very, very encouraging. I don't know how many of you know how I came to know Shilpa, but our association started off in a very strange way. One day, Nishi came home from work. She used to work at Rashid Hospital. She was the infection control officer. She was the head of infectious disease, and said, "You know, the person we met at a party so many weeks ago is admitted." And then she told me about Shilpa, and Shilpa was there in a coma for months. All that was going was a heartbeat. After that, of course, she was transferred to Apollo Hospital in Delhi. And then we never heard about from her, and we didn't know what was going on in her life till one day at one of the consulate parties, we bumped into Shilpa again. And to be honest, I'm not very good with faces. I didn't recognize her, but Nishi did. And she just saw Shilpa and she started crying, tears just running. Because she had seen her at times where, you know, there was really no hope. And since then, been meeting so often, and I've always have had this amazing bond with Shilpa because I think this is someone you need to cling on to. This is someone who's been to the other side. She's been there. She's been in touch with God and come back. And I suspect she came back because there was unfinished work here. Her children were small at that point, and she had this job of spreading happiness to so many other people. So that was how Shilpa and I first met. And since then, of course, many parties and fun times together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Doc. Such a lovely introduction. It's so nice to have you here. I read an article where you were called the happiness doctor. So, bingo, you're the perfect guest for the happiness chat.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. My first question to you is that you come from a family of doctors. What made you choose this specialization?
Well, after I finished my medical training, I was doing my internship in 79. And at that time, the first, well, during my internship, I realized I like obstetrics and gynecology, and I decided to become a gynecologist. So I did my MD in gynecology. But just at that time in 78, 79, the first test tube baby had been born. There was so little information available. There was no internet, and there was no web links and things like that. So what little information we would find in medical journals, that's what we used to see. And during those days, there was talk about fertility treatment that was happening in the West, which wasn't available in India. And after I completed my obs and gynae training, I started running a little fertility clinic in my alma mater, which was Christian Medical College, Vellore. And all along, the intent was that let me learn something by which I can help people out here, because at that time, in 84, 85, there was very little available by way of fertility treatment as far as Indian patients were concerned. All of them had to go abroad if they needed treatment. So it took a little while to make the right contacts, but I made those contacts, went off to England, and trained under one of the pioneers of IVF, a gentleman called Professor Ian Kraft, who passed away last year. But so that's where my journey began. So I have been involved with fertility work now since 1987, and it's 33 years since I embarked on this field, 29 years here in Dubai.
Amazing, amazing. We're so glad to have you here in Dubai, Doc.
Thank you.
So tell me, how do you feel when you make couples achieve their dream of becoming parents?
Friday is a day when most people are off. So before this COVID times, every Friday, we would have a stream of couples, at least every 3 or 4 couples coming with their babies to show us their babies on Friday. We work half a day on Friday. So about 11:30, 12, these couples would come and they'd bring their babies. And it was such a joy, not only for us, but for all the staff at the center, but also for the other patients who were waiting for treatment to actually see proof of success. That so if they could do it, why not us? So really, it's very, very encouraging. It's heartening. And the field that we are in, we see 100% results or 0% results. So if someone becomes pregnant within 9 months, there's a baby to show for it, which is nice because, if you have shoulder surgery, at the end of 6 months, the patient will come and say, I'm 80% better or 60% better. Yahan waisa nahi. Here, they've come and showing you a baby. So it's very, very nice. Patients also get very emotionally attached because they've been through a journey. The nicest thing, one lady came and said she brought her twins to show us. And as she came inside, she started crying. And the girls asked, what's the matter? she said, I feel मैं अपने मायके आ गई. I've come back to my maternal home. So they do. They bond with us, and they feel part of a family. It's a journey that we all take together. So it's very, very encouraging to see the end product.
Oh, lovely. I think it must be absolutely God sent for them. I can relate to it because I've seen ladies rushing to meet you when you enter a party, and they're like you're huge fans. And I am sure that when they meet their GP or dentist, they are not so delighted.
Well, we've shared some very difficult and good times together. A lot of them, when they come to us, aren't that in a very good space. They've gone through a lot of anxiety, stress, and then there've been good times when pregnancy result is positive. You show them the first scan with the heartbeat. So that's, I think, the reason why there's a bond.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me, Doc, you're very different from the usual serious-looking doctors. What makes you so lively, happy, and fun to be with?
I think it's because one tends to gravitate towards happy and fun-loving people, and that's why I'm so fond of Shilpa and Vijay, because when we meet our friends, there's no one who sits and moans and groans. Everyone's out to be positive and spread the positivity. And then the same thing is there in the family as well. Fortunately, all of us in the family are happy to have a good time, happy to share moments together. And by and large, we tend to do a lot of things together. So I think the reason why one can appear to be happy is because one is internally happy. And I think that happiness comes from the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. I so agree with you. I think, Doc, stress is a major deterrent for your patients and in the treatment. So what advice do you give to your patients to overcome stress?
A lot of them, when they come the first time, they're anxious. A lot of them cry because there's so many family pressures. Unfortunately, society is not very kind. People tend to make snide remarks, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. Just the very mention, how many children do you have when you've been struggling for 5 years, can, release a flood of tears. So during their journey with us, we try, it is a hospital, but we try not to make it look like a hospital. For instance, I don't wear a lab coat. I wear my normal clothes, or when I'm operating, I wear the theater scrubs. But we tend not to make it look clinical by wearing lab coats and carrying stethoscopes and things like that. We encourage our patients to connect and bond with our staff. So fortunately, we've been lucky that today, Conceive as a hospital completes 16 years, 4th of July. Is it 4th or 5th today? Today?
4th.
4th. So exactly 16 years. And we have staff with us who have been with us for 16 years. We have at least 4 or 5 members of staff who were there when we started. And there are enough and more people who are 12 years plus with us. So we encourage our the couples who come to us for their fertility issues to bond with one of the nurses or one of the doctors, so that when they are down, when the stress is getting to them, they can easily pick up the phone and have a chat. And we've been blessed by the staff we've got, all very supportive, all encouraging, all positive. And we encourage them to meet with successes. When someone says, "Oh, I'm so scared about having IVF treatment," I find out if there's anyone who's pregnant in the hospital clinic at that time, who would be willing to speak to this lady. And I put them in touch with each other. And, she can ask all her questions. Is it painful? Will I have hormonal issues? And things like that. And hearing it from someone who's just been through it is reassuring. So we try to minimize the stress that way. Having said that, there's no way that stress can be completely got rid of. The anxiety, the tensions, the family pressures, it never goes away completely, but we try to minimize it as much as we can.
Absolutely. I think communication is such a big stress buster, actually. So, then tell me, Doc, that nowadays, everyone's talking about depression during COVID, but there would be a tendency towards depression if the treatment that you are giving is taking too much time. So, how do you handle such patients?
I think the important thing is here to be open and upfront. We get lots of couples who, from the first look, you can see don't have a great chance. The lady is 44, 43 years old. She's almost run out of eggs, or the gentleman has a severe problem. We try to be honest and tell them, we're not saying this to discourage you. We're saying this so that you're aware. However, given this situation, we will do the best for you, and you guide us. You tell us what appeals to you, what doesn't appeal to you. So if you've not given them false promises, I think they find it easier to cope with the negative results. And we make sure that someone who's had a negative result is not just left by herself at a loose end. We make sure that they come back for a chat and have another consultation, and we explain to them what we think went wrong with their treatment, why it didn't work for them, and have we learned something from this treatment uh, that we can modify in their subsequent cycle.
Absolutely. That's so right. I was just hearing so much about the recent depression and the suicide cases. They said if only they had someone to talk to. Life can look so happy from the outside, but we don't know what the person is going through. So if they
Right.
had someone to talk to, maybe that person could have spoken them out of their depression.
That's so true, because by and large, I think these things happen because they have no one to share with. So and unfortunately, fertility issues are such that a lot of people are diffident about sharing with others. As you said, they put on this brave face and smiling, and at parties they'll see other people playing with their kids and things like that. It's heart-wrenching for them, but they put on this face of contentment, because it's not something that they are able to talk to others. There is still, unfortunately, a stigma attached to infertility. People feel that they will be seen as less, less than other people. So, but uh, at least we offer them an opportunity to be able to communicate with us very often as they want. So, when they start their treatment, they'll find that there's one nurse who's more sympathetic than others. And a lot of them will bond to that person. And, they'll be, if they have any issues that is worrying them or causing them anxiety or causing depression, they would just call that person.
That's great. And lastly, Doc, what is your happiness mantra?
My happiness mantra, as I said, surround yourself with happy people, surround yourself, uh, be part of a happy family. And in my case, I'm I've been doing obs and gynae for 40 years. I've been doing fertility for 33 years. But I still enjoy it. I still have fun. I still enjoy going to work. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to see new people, hear their stories. It makes me happy to see the successes. Yes, it is sad when someone doesn't make it and is upset or uh, disheartened because of her failure. But that's part of this field. There is positive and negative aspects to it. But I think if you can enjoy what you are doing and it's still fun to you after 33 or 40 years, then you'll be happy.
Fabulous. You are happy, Doc, and you make everybody around you happy.
Thank you.
It's so nice. Thank you so much for sharing such valuable insights. There's so much we can learn from you. And we have a wonderful audience over here. So my question to all of you, thank you very much for joining us. Do you find happiness in your work? Does your work make you happy? Please do share your thoughts with us. 2 minutes, please. Who would like to share first? Ranjit. Have you unmuted him?
So you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
And share. So Sia sharing first. Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Shrivastav. Good evening, Shilpa.
Evening.
You know, when I was growing up, my mother, and doing nothing with my education, my mother always pointed out that, Ranjit, there should be a doctor in the family and a lawyer in the family. And, every time there is a crisis, a personal crisis or a public crisis, we tend to, we realize how important the two of you are. And Shilpa, thank you for, encouraging these happiness talks, because it gives us a chance to reflect on such an important subject that we never think about it. Now, happiness at work, Shilpa, it's very strange. Both things feed on each other. The happier you are, the more positive you would be, and the better your work will be. And then the better your work is, the happier you'll get. So they both build on each other. And it's all within you to make your work happy. Be happy and make your work better. Now, some of you know I'm in the real estate business, and I enjoy my business. It makes me happy. Not because of the business, because it gives me enough time, it gives me money to do the things I really enjoy doing. See, ideally, you said something, Shilpa, about, you made a statement before we started, when you were giving your introduction, is that, be happy at work and work goes, something like that. What do you say? When work goes, and then it's not work anymore, something like that.
Yes, and basically happy people are 31% more productive.
Yeah, no, something else, that when you're happy, then that's not your work anymore, something like that you said. And, ideally, that's not for me. I mean, it's still work. But if you want me to come up to that utopia, that would be like becoming a professional golfer. That you really love what you're doing, taking away all the pressures and things. Ideally, I would like to be a professional golfer. Then I would really love what I do. But I love my work and enjoy my work, and it makes me happy because it gives me enough time, it gives me enough money, and it doesn't have all the pressures, and it gives me all these things to do the other things that I like to do. So that's about it.
Lovely. So your work helps you in your pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's a
You,
great
Shilpa.
place to be in. Thank you so much for sharing, Ranjit. That was beautiful. Thank you. Now
Thank
Sia
you.
Khanna will share with us.
Yeah, hi everyone. So Shilpa happens to be my Masi, and and these talks have really motivated me also. And I first sent her a WhatsApp, but now I had the I can courage to face everyone and speak. So I will be a little nervous, but that's all right. So, so firstly, I think a lot of people don't know what I do. I think the family would be knowing, but I'm into casting of actors, models, and singers, dancers, photographers, basically in the media. So to everyone outside, it's very exciting and oh, this is so good. But like every work, there are ups and downs, and I'm not as experienced as most. So with my little experience that I have, I'll be sharing happiness is for me at workplace. So work does make me happy, and there I think that two things that I would want to say broadly. First is a lot of factors contribute to your happiness at work. I may be a very satisfied person, I'm a happy person, but I like my work. But if there are things at work, like my team, my working environment, my seniors, the type of work I do, that is very important for me. So if you're happy with all this, you will be more productive. Even if I'm a hard working person, but if I'm put down by external factors, I will not be happy at work. So your external factors, particularly in a job, are very important, to keep that happy state of mind. And secondly, I feel, what's your motive to work? So if you know your motive to work, and that brings you happiness, that is important. Like for me, thankfully, I don't have like money as my motive, but my motive is to just be busy. So I like the hustle, I like doing something, experimenting with my work. Until the time I get that, I'm happy. So for me, my motive is very important, and um, which is keeping myself busy. So I try to work towards that. So I feel that is what is happiness to me. If I'm happy with my environment around, with my motive being accomplished, I'm all good at work.
So fantastic. Sia, you have stolen my few points, because what you said is what I was going to say later. It's ditto of what the University of Berkeley and California say. I'm going to share that with you in a bit. But you said the same thing that they've said. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
Who else would like to share with us? Simran.
Hi. So thank you for these inspiring, thought-provoking conversations that we've listened to. Um, for me, I think work has been the largest part of my identity, and therefore, if so much of myself, so much of my waking hours were going into work, it was important that I was happy with what I was doing. And I discovered that through a process of elimination, what I enjoyed doing was somehow linked to the hobbies I had when I was growing up. And having always been creatively inclined, I realized that I felt happiest when I was working on great design, whether it was design of products or design of advertising and communication. And I kind of naturally sort of landed after eliminating a whole bunch of other work in the industry that I am, which is in the fashion and lifestyle industry. But having said that, I would like to share, one of my biggest learnings. I worked in Titan for 13 years, and my first stint was about 4.5 years. I quit. I was extremely happy with my work, with the brand I was working on, and I think a whole bunch of situations around became very frustrating, and I felt that I could no longer contribute, and I quit. It just so happened that 6 months later, I was called back into the same company, into the same role, to work on the same brand. And somewhere I think I'd left, a piece of my heart back with that brand, and that brand is Fast Track. And something told me that I must go back. And I remember having this conversation with a senior colleague, who was still in Titan. And I asked him, I said, my heart is saying go back, but my head is saying, you're making a mess of your resume, hopping in and out of a company, after 6 months. And what should I do? And he said, look, if your heart's saying go back, then do. But you have to remember the frustrations that made you leave the first time still exist and are not going to disappear. So if you want to come back, you have to change your attitude to situations that were frustrating you before. Because if you can't stick when you come back for 3 years, then you would truly have messed up your resume, right? No one will believe that you're the kinds that will come and stick with the job. I went back, and it just so happened that I stayed back for 9 years. That brand sort of built me as much as I built it. And I realized from the day I set foot back into that company, literally nothing had changed. But that one thought that he put in my head, that if I truly loved the work that I was doing, but the situations around me were bogging me down, why can't I change the way I viewed them? Never regretted that decision. And, I realized that a lot of sort of external people, situations, incidents will not be in my control going forward. And even now, I mean, I'm my own person now. I run my own business, but a lot of things are not in my control. But what is in my control is the lens with which I see them. And when I have bad days, I remind myself of that time when I went back into the same frustrating situation. But it just seemed so much more positive. It just seemed so much more exciting because I had changed my lens, and I was forced to look at a different way of approaching the same job, the same work. So as much as it is a challenge, for me it continues to be a challenge. I'm sure it is for all of us when we have our off days. But try this. It works for me every now and then, and I try and remind myself that can I change the situation by looking at it differently.
Simran, I want to tell you, I hope everybody can understand Hindi over here. One of the dialogues is my nani used to say, so true, कि आप सृष्टि को नहीं बदल सकते, आपको अपनी दृष्टि बदलनी पड़ती है. It's the lens that you're talking about, because you can't change the world. You can't change the direction of the winds, but you have to adjust your sails, So thank you so much for sharing. That was absolutely wonderful. Who else would like to share with us? Another person who has, I know, a very interesting work life is Natasha. So you have to share with us.
Sure. Well, I started my work life, so to say, when I was 22. And when I started off, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something creative and something fun. And at that point in time, what looked creative and what looked fun was advertising. So I walked in, this 22-year-old without any experience, walked in, spoke to the main boss, Shailen Singh of Percept Advertising, sat down there, and so he's asking me questions, and I ask him for a salary, and he says, not even people who worked here for 2 to 3 years have, are demanding that. I said, well, I'm a good learner. Anyways, cutting short the whole story, I've tried a lot of things. I did advertising, I did health insurance, I worked with landmark education, I've done lots of stuff. But alongside doing all the work that I was doing in corporates, there was one theme in my life which started at 22 itself, was self-love and the quest for myself. So I have spent 25 years working on myself and working with people. At the age of 40, finally, which is about 4 years, 5 years back, I finally said it is time for me. So before that, I worked for 10 years as a wedding planner, and which was also my own company. And I had this huge dilemma at that point of time. My mother was 70 when I was 40. And I was asking myself that I needed to go and express that which truly defines me and makes me happy, which is me being a coach, me being a motivational speaker, me being a healer, and all those aspects of myself which I couldn't really express. The dilemma was, how can I leave my 70-year-old mother by herself? Yet, divine intervention, guidance, whatever you call it, I enrolled my parents and I said, I am clear somebody will come to take this over and you guys will do just fine. But if I do not go out now and start to do what truly expresses me, I will shrivel up and die. And thankfully and luckily they really got what I was saying to them. And it's been 4 years since I started my company called Limitless I. I had no idea how I was gonna take it forward, um, how well it will do, all of those insecurities. But I can tell you, I have enjoyed every moment of these 4 years that I have been creating the company, and I have been touching lives and the kind of breakthroughs, just like Doc was saying that, they come back with their babies. I'm so fully in that experience when people come back to me and share with me that, after 31 years, I've spoken to my brother, or I have reconnected with my parents. It is so phenomenal that I just knew that everything that I did to build up to this place and the leap of faith that I took, that's what makes me happy. It makes me happy to just be there and to serve. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share.
Natasha, they say that if your passion and your work are aligned, you're in a beautiful place. And your passion for doing healing is also your work, and the good that you spread in the world, the happiness that you spread, I'm sure it comes many folds back to you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Who else would like to share? Sonia, Divya, anybody else would like to share? Divya.
Unmute yourself and share.
Okay, so my thing is not about, I've heard such gorgeous stories of, our dear doctor here. So my happiness is so minuscule in comparison to his, because what he does is brings babies, brings lives into this world, which cannot be anywhere close to what our happiness is. My happiness is selling jewelry, so it's all about money. So that's where it ends. But for somebody who is, who gets happiness about bringing life, I mean, I can't even equate to that. And I had one question for Doc. So how many babies have you brought into this beautiful world of ours? Not right. I mean, how many babies have you bought? You must be having a record.
Divya, it's 33 years. So
Wow.
along the way, we lost track. But my daughter Damini, who is
last count.
We really, the problem is that a lot of times we don't know. We have patients from Africa. They come and they go away. We never know. They became pregnant. They had babies. If they come back to have another baby, we discover they were twins there. We reckon it's probably about 8,000 or so.
Oh,
but,
God.
So it's been a happy journey, and just one correction, we help them, but I think these blessings are really divine, and I think those
We need angels like you to bring in that okay, finally it's of course divine intervention and everything, but we
Yeah.
need angels like you and Dr. Nishi who bring all this happiness. So my happiness is completely about money, very honestly, and I love it when I make money, and that's it. But when hearing your chat and hearing what Natasha does, it is really so what you guys bring to the universe is so much. mm, I just adorn women. I just bring add to their beauty and do all of that.
I think you are downplaying your role, because if you can make someone feel good about herself because of what you have helped her to acquire or you've created for her, I don't think you can run that down. I don't think you can just bring it down to saying, I do it for money.
You're just very, very, very kind. Like I said, you are like the kindest person I've met. So, I mean, I would take that as a compliment. And thank you so much for making me feel a little bit better than what all of you over here on this chat are doing. I feel, but I do enjoy my work and I love working.
There you are. You're creating. You're doing things.
And thank you so much for being here and giving us
Will
your whole
enhance.
insight. Sorry, you were saying something.
Most welcome. No, I said your creativity is able to enhance another person's self-esteem. How can that not be positive? How can that not be creating happiness?
Thank you.
So
Thank you
beautifully
so much.
said.
Appreciate
I have to share something. It's very funny, which Dr. Nishi, Dr. Pankaj's lovely wife, told me. She says, I'm the only unusual wife who walks into a party. I have all these ladies coming towards us and saying, Dr. Pankaj, this is your baby. you know, and she says, I'm the only wife who's smiling and adoring it and adoring the babies. Any other wife would kill. So that's fantastic.
The very dear friend of ours, I've known from she was married, but then we never met up for many years, and then we met up here, and it so happened she needed some help, and she had a baby with us. And at a party, I was chatting, and then someone came up to us and said, "You know each other?" We said, "Yes." So he asked this lady, I mean, how do you know Dr. Pankaj? And so she thinks for a while and said, a few years ago, Dr. Pankaj and myself, we made a baby together. So that,
That is so cute.
yeah, no,
That's
help,
wonderful.
the whole process.
Fabulous. Didia wants to say something.
Unmute yourself, please.
Oh,
No, you're not unmute.
I know Sonia has something to say, but Doc, before you go, we have to hear one wonderful story of yours because this is too brief. I mean, we want to really know one story of yours which is held in your head, which you carry with you. Tell us that one story.
Can't really, and so many interesting things. Something that happened recently. So I had doctor friend, an Emirati gentleman who I've known for many years, because years ago, I would say about 27 or 28 years ago, he had brought his wife to us, and they weren't able to have a second child. And after they had treatment with us, she became pregnant and had a little boy. And then, though we used to see each other briefly off and on, but it wasn't that there was much interaction. Now, about a month ago, he calls me out of the blue and says, that boy that you helped us bring having some difficulty. started treatment. During one of the scans, one lady, so they were running the wife, and room
Doc, you're getting stuck. We
the
can't
daughter.
hear you.
She said, "Oh, this is Madhu. You know, Pankaj, you me. But years ago, I came to you. Where did you lose me? Can you hear me now?"
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
So I was scanning this the wife, and there was this lady with her who turned out to be her mother, and she said to me, "You won't remember me, but years ago I came to you for treatment, and this is the product of that treatment." So it was so interesting that both the husband and the wife are products of some fertility treatment which we helped them with. So
Oh,
that was
that's
that
amazing.
That's
happened
amazing. That's
recently.
like
Yeah.
across generations. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Phenomenal.
wonderful.
Phenomenal. I think
That's-
Sonia also wants to share
Thank you.
something with us.
Thank you for sharing.
So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Pankaj. Wonderful to have you, and really we feel very inspired. And like Divya said, I think what we do is an iota of what you do. And I'll also pick up a few things from what Natasha and Simran said. I think for me, my work is I work with individuals and help them lead a better quality of life through coaching and communication. I think it all begins with self-love, as Natasha said. The quality of what we can give others always begins with the quality with which we view ourselves. And what Simran said about the way she had built the brand, the same way the brand had built us. I feel every time I'm coaching, I'm really gaining 100 times my own life. So my work has built me. It's made me who I am today. So I go like a blank canvas really when I go to coach anyone, and I come back with the most beautiful painting that they have painted in my life. So I find myself full of gratitude that I can make someone's life a little bit better. And that's all I want to share. Thank you so much, Shilpa, for having me. And thank you, Dr. Pankaj, for inspiring all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonia. That's absolutely wonderful. They say we spend 90,000 hours of our life. An average person spends 90,000 hours of his life at your workplace. So I think we really need to do something about it to make the majority of those hours to be happy. We owe it to ourselves. There were research that I read done by University of Berkeley and California. The basic premise is we all deserve to be happy. First the why and then the how. The why is there are umpteen reasons to be happy. Some of them are good health, success, creativity, sociability, productivity. The how. What is it that we can do to make ourselves happy? So they came up with three themes. First is the way Sia was talking about, you flow to your goals. You make your goals, you get into the zone, and you flow to your goals. The happiness lies in the journey in achieving your goals. It's not really just achieving the goals. The goals are there. That's why they say happiness is a destiny, is a journey. It's not a destination. Second, they say practice positivity, adopt a good attitude, look at the bright side, be optimistic, notice and savor the good things in life, especially the good in people. Third, prioritize people. The strongest influence on happiness is the quality of your relationships. Invest your time, energy, attention in them. Start by expressing gratitude to those who appreciate, be kind, be empathetic. Neuroplasticity suggests that we can rewire our brain to be happy through what we think and what we do. So pick one small thing that will contribute to your happiness. Act on it every day. Rewire your brain, and you can reap benefits of it all your life. So it's actually very simple. It's up to us. We've got to do it. We have to make it happen. I love this line of Oprah Winfrey. She says, the happiest people don't have the best of everything. They make the best of everything. Gratitude remains the strongest pillar of happiness. So a big thank you to the person who makes this chat possible, handling the technical aspect of it, the ever smiling and completely adorable Natasha Basim Kukreja. A big round of applause. Please unmute for the applause.
Okay, well done.
Woo!
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you
Good
so
job.
much.
Thank you.
And Dr. Nishi, we can't see you, but thank you for being there. I know you're there. And we love you, and we love Dr. Pankaj and everybody on this screen. I love everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shilpa, thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you for joining me today. A very special thanks to Dr. Pankaj for sharing his valuable insights. So much to learn from you. And until we meet again, be happy, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Doc Nish.